Months since that shooting that claimed the lives of 19 students and 2 teachers, many parents across the country still on edge now as a new school year kicks into gear. I want to welcome Dr. Robert Kyler, Chief Clinical Officer at Free Spirit this morning, joining us to talk about back-to-school anxiety. Welcome to the National Desk.
Good morning.
So this new study out this week found that school shootings are the top safety concern for parents, and only 31% of parents feel their children are very safe at school. How can parents ease some of their anxiety about sending their kids back to school?
Really understandable after a tragedy like that parents would be apprehensive and afraid. One thing that I think is useful is to think about, what is the nature of anxiety? One thing that's characteristic of anxiety is that people are really frightened of uncertainty and they expect that the worst can happen. And it's really important to remember that gaining a sense of control, information, and support is really critical for parents to help their kids make this transition back into the school year.
What can parents do to help sort of battle their own anxiety while getting their kids back into the classroom, and maybe even help their kids battle whatever anxiety they may have seeing coverage of this in the news?
Absolutely. I think one of the important things to remember is that anxiety is really kind of contagious, and it's important for parents to kind of get their own needs and fears under control before they interact and how they interact with their kids. And so sources of that support or information, I think one thing that is really important, that parents get information from their school and school district about plans and preparations at the local level to really kind of mitigate, to protect against circumstances like what happened in Uvalde. I think the other is to find sources of support, particularly sources of support that are calming, reassuring. You seek out support from your friends and trusted individuals. I would recommend gravitating towards those people who tend to be calmer, who don't tend to have their own anxiety run away from them. And also information from sources like pediatrician, counselors at school and such, to really kind of help have information and help know that there is a plan in place at the local level to help kids with those anxieties.
Yeah, all good advice. I want to talk briefly here about bulletproof backpacks. We've talked about how sales are on the rise across the country. There is some question about whether these are effective, but really, do you think that this may be more about parents and children coping with anxiety surrounding school shootings, or will these backpacks just give parents a false sense of security to help them cope?
Yeah, that question is a little bit out of my league in terms of a physical safety question. I think one thing is we don't know yet. For some kids, see that being reassuring, having a sense of control and protection, but for others, it might be a reminder about that uncertainty. So I think that the jury is still out about whether that really may be an effective. I would really kind of trust individual parents, maybe with support from their schools and school districts, about whether that is right for their own child. One size does not necessarily fit all.
What can schools be doing to help ease anxiety for parents and for students as well?
I think what's really important is that there is an awareness, that there is a plan, that there is really good communication. I think communication and facts really go a long way towards dispelling anxiety. And there's really going to be a period of adjustment, I think, for people to really kind of move back into the school year, for kids to feel comfortable being back with their peers. The beginning of school, even before the pandemic and tragedies like this, tended to be anxious times, and it takes a little while for kids to settle in. So I think parents may need to be aware that their kids may need a little extra support. Maybe it's driving them to school instead of taking the bus for a little bit, having them meet up with a friend at the gate to the school before they go in. Some kind of simple measures like that can help give a sense of connection, reduce the sense of isolation that tends to breed anxiety.
I can remember the first day of school being nervous when I was young, and so I can't imagine that has changed. It feels so much more compounded, I guess, in this day and age where we are talking about school shootings like we had in Uvalde. I have just a couple of seconds left here. I do want to ask you, where can parents find support if they need it?
I think the most important place to start is with school district. I think pediatricians are a great source. There are also sources like the National and Local Mental Health America, which is a mental health support group. Many times there are listings of local support groups that could be available for parents and for their kids.
All right. Dr. Robert Kyler with Free Spirit joining us this morning here on the National Desk. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Thank you so much.